let me start with the assignment, since that might be the item with the most questions about it. First of all, what I'd like for you to do is kind of start with two questions. Number one, what do you think is the greatest ethical challenge for employees, so people who work for a company? And what do you think is the strongest ethical challenge for employers, so people who are, the boss, as it were, people who are in control of the hiring and firing, people who make the management decisions, the supervisors, and so forth? What is the greatest ethical challenge concerning them? So think about those two items, and then unpack them by. Oh, I'm sorry. I made a list of possibilities. Obviously, you can go through the last 3 weeks or so, 3 or 4 weeks of material, and you can revisit some of these items. Like, is it corruption, such as bribery, or kickbacks, or greasing, or these kinds of things with between companies, or between businesses and government? Is one of those moral issues, for example, pay inequality, right, or sexual harassment, or drawing a blank. So anyway, any number of issues. It could also be something that is derived from some of your own personal experience with an employer in the past. That would be totally fine. Okay, so I also would like for you to use a couple of hypothetical case studies. For example, you could use the recent fiasco with Wells Fargo. I think there was a case study about that that I had you look at. Of course, that involved managers pressuring sales to meet quotas that led to them needing to kind of open fake accounts, not exactly fake accounts, but open accounts without their customers really knowing it or fully understanding what was happening in order to meet their quotas. So they were pressured and coerced into doing something that is technically illegal in order to keep their jobs. And so what do you do in that sort of situation, right? It's either break the law and keep your job, but you might need that job, and you might be very dependent on that job, and might not have many alternatives, or do you go ahead and blow the whistle and let some sort of regulating body or authority know about what your employer is doing? It's likely to result in some damage between the relationship between employee and employer, but nevertheless, justice was served, right? Or at least it was, ethics was met. So I'm not saying that the right way. So consider that. I'd like for you to include two maybe hypothetical examples or two actual case studies, cases when there has been some kind of violation of these some sort of item, or that has been an example of the moral challenge facing you. Sorry, I'm stumbling. It's still in the morning. Okay. Also, I would like for you to two moral challenges, one for employees, one for employers. Two examples of that happening. Also, include some kind of section in the paper where you're describing what are the moral principles or obligations that are being compromised. So, in other words, is it a matter of honesty, or is it a matter of loyalty when an employee or an employer have some kind of ethical falling out? What exactly are the specific ethical items? And for that, you could even reach back into the second or third week of the class when we were talking about some of those foundational matters and principles and theories of ethics, if you want. But just think about what are the moral principles or obligations, what are the duties that are being compromised. And then finally, include some section on how you think that this matter should or could be resolved. Right? What would be the solution to this in your imagination? So it's time to perhaps get creative and think about what might be a good solution.